Hello everyone. France made the headlines again this week, sentencing the opposition leader, the extreme right leader, to jail pretty much, and the inability to run for the next presidential election. So I heard a lot of stories here, so I wanted to go back over the facts and explain to you what happened and what she's jailed for and the consequences as well. Because what we're seeing in France is the same as what we saw in the US, or we're still seeing, is an increased power from the judicial system here stepping into politics, and in the case of the US, either trying to go over the executive orders of the president. So extremely interesting situation here. But what actually happened? So Marine Le Pen is the opposition leader. She's pretty much the number two, and she's been the number two at the last presidential elections for quite a while, increasing in popularity. If I look at the number here, 2018 presidential election, she had 34% of the votes, and France elections are about popular vote, so it's really 34% of the population here. In 2020, was it 2020? Next one is 2027, so this was 2022, because elections are every 5 years in France. She had 41.5%, so she's increasing over time. And the last legislative election, her party won majority, really unexpected, at the parliament. So that was a really big win for her and her party. So she's really seen locally in France as almost the next likely president for the next election. Macron cannot run again. He already did 2 mandates, and she's the leader of the number one party right now. So it's the extreme right. What does she stand for? What does she advocate? So very much unlike Macron, she's against the EU, and she wants to clean France. In particular with all the foreigners, all the illegals that entered in France, she wants to send them back home. So very similar to Trump here in the US. So that's really her. And what happened here, so she is accused of misusing European Parliament funds. So funds coming from the European Commission, but a while ago. So she's been the leader of her party for a while, and this dates back from 2004 to 2016. So she's accused of having used European funds to pay staff in her own right-wing party in France for tasks that were not European related. At that time, the party was not doing good. They needed funds, and she used these ones incorrectly. So that is what she's accused of. And apparently, so she was, as of Monday, end of March, she was found guilty in that. So she's been sentenced to 4 years, not exactly in jail. So she's supposed to be under house arrest for 2 years and have this little bracelet. So no freedom of movement as such, but she's not going to go to jail. But the big thing really is the 5 years ineligibility to run for president and participate. So next elections being in 2 years, that just makes her, she cannot run and be president in 2 years. So of course, she's appealing. And the judges have said that her appeal will be considered next year. I don't know why it takes so long, don't even ask me. But they're going to consider it, and it's going to be on time for her to be able to run if they decide that she's right and they cancel the judgment. So if the appeal wins, she would be still on time to run for president. In case it doesn't work and the appeal fails, she has a number two. So here, his name is Bardella. He's young. I believe he's 29, and he's been really behind her for a while. So it's not like the party will not be able to run. It's just going to be somebody else, probably who doesn't have the history, the impact, and so on. In addition, she's a woman who would have been a change given we never had a woman president. So she had advantages compared to a new person, younger, a man who might not appeal to the same voters. But this is it. At least the party will be able to run. But yeah, this is where we are right now. These are the facts. So people are protesting. They're organizing protests. The French love to go on the street and protest. So you can be sure this weekend, Saturday, they're going to run on the streets of Paris and protest for her, against the justice, against Macron, saying it's all organized for her not to run. Not too sure who's going to run anyway in 2 years, because Macron not being eligible. Who's going to represent his party? And Macron himself, I mean, he came a bit out of nowhere. New party, knew everything 8 years ago when he started. So I don't know. We will see what happens here. A lot of political uncertainties. But as you see, very similar things we've seen in a variety of countries here, where the opposition leader is pretty much knocked out in various ways. In some ways, not a bit extreme in certain countries. Here is more going through the judicial system, but still at the end, the same result, not able to run against the current party. So at the same time, if I continue on the French thing, another I found very interesting thing I read on the news a while ago actually, and it's coming out in a few weeks, I believe. Europe has developed a survival guide that will be distributed to all the population on how to survive. Normally it's a war, but you can enlarge it to a big crisis. And it's not completely new for certain countries. Sweden had done one for its citizens, I believe, last year, distributed to all the population. And here, so France is working on one, which is going to be pretty large, all crises. So it could be major weather events, because we have more and more these days. It can be electrical outage for days, and it can be a war. So I just thought the timing here was very interesting with everything that's happening on the east side with Ukraine, the tensions rising everywhere in the world. That's really a first, at least for France. It has not happened before. Even so, we went through several world wars. Here, the citizens are going to have a guide. So it's not been distributed yet. I heard some commenters that apparently have read it saying that the president is a bit acting like he was the dad of all the citizens. You know, some very basic things like make sure your door is locked, you know, make sure you have enough food to last for 3 days. Partly that they're giving 3 days as a advice here to store canned good, non-perishable goods and water. So the French do not store much. That's not in the culture. We are not in a survivalist world or culture here. So usually you don't have big pantry in the houses to store foods for months. So this is a bit of a change to have at least 3 days at home. But probably more in these guidelines because it's a little booklet. So I will keep you posted when it comes out to see what it's all about. But I found the timing interesting here with everything else going on. So I hope you found this interesting and useful. If you did, as always, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. And thank you all for watching. Be safe out there.